It's 4 days before Election Day here in Charleston County. On Thursday, I spoke exclusively with Charleston County Democratic Party chairwoman Colleen Condon. Today, Friday, I speak exclusively with Charleston County Republican Party Chairman Maurice Washington for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Maurice Washington, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Always happy to join you, Quintin. You know that.
I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you're the chairman of the Charleston County Republican Party. I believe it's 4 days out now before Election Day. You told me that you've been running around extremely crazy. You have 31 candidates. There's a lot of issues that you're trying to tackle.
Absolutely.
Describe Maurice Washington. What would be your campaign slogan right now if you were still in office today?
Oh, man. Well, slogan, I think the most appropriate slogan today would be experience matters, because that's what we have up and down the ballot, a bunch of experienced candidate running, hoping to serve citizens all across the county as well as the state of South Carolina.
You talk about experience matters. How effective will the Charleston County Republican Party be on Tuesday?
You know what? The funny thing about elections, you could plan your plan, and you could put the best people in place, but there's nothing like election day activities. The speed, the velocity of things that are happening so rapidly, it can be very overwhelming now. But look, we've planned out as best we can. We're still planning right now. Things aren't finalized. It's a moving target for us. But we hope by 7 Tuesday morning, when the polls open, we'll be able to put an operation in place in terms of implementing that we hope will yield good results for our candidates.
Now, obviously, you talk about experience matters. You obviously are a former Charleston City Council member, and obviously you were a South Carolina Senate Democrat candidate back in 2013. How do you match your experience with this speed and velocity right now in 2020 with elections?
Well, obviously, technology has changed. No one has ever dealt with a pandemic of this magnitude with shutdowns, and it's hard now to put boots on the ground, door-to-door canvassers out there. People want to be respectful of other people's space. So we've had to elevate our game to a technology level that we had never had to do before. So just making sure that we have other ways of connecting with the voters, putting our candidates' name and their issues and platforms and things that are important to them and things that are important to the voters, cause for some major adjustments. And it's not unique to the Republican Party. I'm sure the Democratic Party are dealing with some of the same issues. When to put boots on the ground, if at all, to put boots on the ground. And so we've stepped up our technology game. We've stepped up our creativity in terms of how do we do that. And we've moved the needles. When I first took over, for example, we had 5,700 followers. We now have almost 19,000 followers. But that's because we were being tunneled right through the technology apparatus as a way of connecting and getting our message out.
Now, how do you connect with those other tools that you have right now in the midst of COVID?
Oh, gee, just like you and I are right now. We got a Zoom just to keep the
I can still come to Grove Street.
And you're welcome always. You're always welcome. We do the Zoom as one. We do a lot of videos, and of course, videos must be entertaining. It must be succinct, to the point. It must be value and interest to the people that we're trying to reach, and not just Facebook, but that we've stepped up our understanding and Instagram technology, our Twitter technology, our web design technology, our everything. So we just put out a lot of stuff, things that we receive from our candidates and things that we design and produce in-house as well.
Now, how do you, Maurice, add interest to the party candidates?
Well, you know, we did a couple of several videos, Quintin, and we chose to do the videos at local restaurants, right? The pandemic shut a lot of our locally owned restaurants down for a minute, and so our local restaurant industry was under pressure and hurting. So instead of doing our video recording with our candidates as a way of introducing them, showing a different side of them, a more relaxed, non-debate, you know, chest stiff, all that stuff, we chose to do interviews at local restaurants. So we spent time talking about the local restaurants. We did B-rolls of their menus. And if you think about a Saffron's and you know that dessert bar that they made for beautiful B-roll videos. And so we blend encouraging our viewers, let's go back into these local restaurants. Let's help them reopen, stay open, put people back to work and paychecks in people's pockets, and giving households a financial boost, right? And at the same time, allow our candidates to talk more about themselves, background, where they grew up, what's important to them, what is it about them that they want the voters to know. And we got lots of hits, lots of likes, lots of followers. And so it was our way of adding a little bit more value and notoriety and recognition to our candidates and of our candidates to would-be voters.
Now, obviously, when I spoke with Colleen Condon, the chairwoman for the Charleston County Democratic Party, that is, on yesterday, she says that people will be surprised by the size of the blue wave on Tuesday. What's the size of the red wave right now?
You know, I will tell you this. I talked about technology earlier and social media and the value of that tool to the local party as well as our state party. But make no mistake about it, we've managed to put boots on the ground. We've knocked on not hundreds, but tens of thousands of doors, not just in Charleston County, but all across the state of South Carolina. We pulled in people from all over to converge here, specific county, 1st Congressional District, and other areas to help introduce our candidates, get our candidates' name, their material out, and so we've been working hard. We've been doing. But anyway, so sorry about that. But so at the end of the day, that happens, right?
Yes,
when you're live, things like that happen.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we put forth a pretty impressive ground game as well. We're not calling it a red wave. We're just calling it a focused and targeted effort by folks who believe in good government, who love this region that we live in, and who love this state, and who loves America. So we'll see how that blue wave matches up against our strategy and our efforts come Tuesday.
Now, you told me over the phone earlier today that you obviously you're talking and planning with 31 candidates. What exactly did you look for in each of those candidates?
Well, a lot of people tend to forget. Look, we have a big race in the first congressional, wanting to win back that first congressional district with Nancy Mace, who's a superb candidate. And right now, recent polls show her up by 2 percentage points. I think she's going to hold on. It's going to be close, but I think she very, very well may pull that off. But we tend to focus on the presidency and the Lindsey Graham at the statewide level. And Lindsey's in a tough race, but Lindsey's going to be okay, I firmly believe. But we have some prize local constitutional races as well, like sheriff, clerk of court, solicitor's office, coroner's office. You take those 4 candidates alone, Al Cannon, Bobby Joe O'Neill, Scarlett Wilson, Julie Armstrong, the most experienced candidates in all of the state of South Carolina running for those same positions across the state. And so when I say experience matter, I really think about those guys first and foremost, because it does matter. And these folks have served this community in a very nonpartisan way. They don't see Republicans or Democrats, whites or black. They just see citizens. And I'm very, very happy that we have people who've been doing the job and carrying out the job in a non-partisan way. Now, they run as Republicans because they're constitutional offices, but they serve really, truly as independent, which is how they should serve.
Now, let me ask you this, because you just mentioned this earlier, that Nancy Mace is up in the polls, I believe, 2% or something like that.
Yeah.
You say experience matters, but do polls matter?
Yeah, look, polls matters, especially when you're trying to raise money, because donors always want to know, well, what's the polls saying? Yeah. And Nancy, what I love about her campaign, Nancy never left the ground. Nancy never left the ground. Nancy Mace had a ground game throughout the primary, and we all thought that she would be in a runoff, because I think there were 4 candidates in that race, and one was very competitive, had money, some good TV presence and social media and public activities, and we thought for sure, all the political pundits thought, okay, that's going to be a runoff between these 2 people. You were one of our debate moderators, and you saw all the candidates on the stage, and you probably walked away from that thing. Well, it's probably going to be a runoff here. Nancy won outright and by a large margin. What we didn't know and what we underestimated, and we thought COVID would impact, no, her folks were so fired up, so focused, as was she. They got out there and they kept the ground game going. And after the primary, they took maybe a couple weeks off. But then after, boom, they got right back on the ground, boots on the ground. I'm feeling really, really good about Nancy Mace on November 2nd because of her incredible ground game.
Now, let me ask you this, Maurice. Obviously, like you mentioned, she's up 2% in the polls right now. How did she get to that large margin by Tuesday?
I really think that the Trump effect is going to play a role in keeping Nancy in that sweet spot. Trump is up in the first congressional district over his Democratic challenger, 44%, plus or minus 6%. That's undecided or so, right? I got to believe those are shy voters that favors Trump. If Nancy continues to hold that 47% between now through Tuesday, Trump does well. I anticipate that the president will. I think she rides that coattail and we regain first congressional district. We're taking nothing for granted. We know the Democrats are formidable. They know how to turn the vote out. They always bring an A+ ground game. They're enthusiastic. They're warriors out in the field, and they will drive you crazy with how well organized they usually are. We don't expect anything different come Tuesday, so it's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to sit with my cohort, Colleen Condon, chairman of the Charleston Democratic Party, and we're going to have some fun watching the results come back. And I think we're going to win some. We may lose some, but I think we're going to have more wins than loss.
Now, you talk about groundwork. What groundwork is in place right now for Nancy to get past 47%?
We have Lindsey Graham coming to town pretty soon, and we had hundreds of volunteers in town just Saturday past. We had targeted precincts all over the 1st Congressional District, specifically in the Charleston County area. We've done this all over the 1st Congressional District, district-wide. The enthusiasm is there. We see, mind you, she got a lot with television and radio, and she was down by almost 15 to 19 points. And she closed that gap in a hurry. And what's promising about this, once she took the lead, there has been no indication, at least not yet, that she has since relinquished that lead. So I'm feeling really good. The president continues to trend well, and he's trending well all across the country. There's a good chance that Nancy will win back the 1st Congressional District and put it in the red column November 3rd.
Now, you talk about Colleen Condon a few seconds ago. In my interview with her for Quintin's Close-Ups on yesterday, she basically says that people want a sheriff that acts with compassion. Who is Sheriff Al Cannon, as you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, the guy brings 40 years of experience to the table, respected across America. The kind of guy who even local chiefs of police turn to help maintain law and order. It's a sheriff department that is technology driven. It's a sheriff department that has good community policing. Sheriff Cannon enjoys great relationships with the Charleston branch of the NAACP. He is a community, he's a people's sheriff. He's experienced, he cares about everyone. He runs that office really in a very nonpartisan, bipartisan kind of way. It's not unusual to see Al at a Black function in Charleston County. It's not unusual to see Al helping out with food banks across Charleston County. It's not unusual to see Al Cannon having his deputies become acutely involved with the community and community-based type projects. It's not unusual to see them putting money into projects that impact not just the Black community, but all communities positively. So I think the voters know this man. They trust him. They know him to be honest, and they know him to genuinely care about all of the residents in Charleston County. Not that his opponent doesn't, but Al has just proven that time and time and time again over his 40-year service.
I want to continue with Sheriff Cannon in just a moment. I want to get your response to what Colleen said about something in a few seconds. What is the relationship right now with the Black community and the Black voters and the Charleston County Republican Party?
Well, look, we haven't done enough to strengthen this connection. I took over in February of this year, and we're doing the kinds of things that I hope would bridge the gap. We started a Black History Month banquet some 3 years ago. We're looking forward to the 4th consecutive year in a row. Interestingly, it is our #1 event of the year. We average about just over $30,000 of revenues from this event. You were one of our first recipients of the North Star Award for the good work that you've done in this community. We recognize anywhere from 5 to 6 African Americans each year at the banquet, people who, like yourself, just do good community stuff, who have achieved against the odds. And so we pause long enough. All of the entertainers are Black Americans. We pay for that entertainment, for the printing of our programs, for the marketing of the event, where we're trying to bring people together. And we take the profit and we push it back out into other Black-owned nonprofits, even making sure we give $1,000 or $2 to Burke High School band every single year. Our candidates, I told you, they work across party lines. And if you look at the most recent, the last 2 edition of the Charleston Chronicle, we have a whole army of notable African Americans in the Chronicle supporting Scarlett Wilson. And if you flip over on the other side, you have notables here supporting Scarlett Wilson, additional folks, and then Julie Armstrong.
Right.
Julie, Black lawyers and other professionals, well-known African Americans, right here, for example.
Tony
O'Neill, Arthur McFarlane, Ed Givens, Renee Gay, a host of others. So if the party is not inroads quick enough, our candidates are certainly doing so. And I think that is a good thing. So we're making progress.
Now, how long will it take the party to make those inroads happen?
I think we are, but it has to be sustainable. We can't play with it. We can't fake it. It has to be real. It has to be genuine. And so we just have to keep at it. And I'm so pleased that we are doing exactly that. We're working hard to make a difference. And we're trying to recruit African Americans to run as Republicans. Look at our slate that's coming up in a couple years. I think you're going to see more people of color stepping up. On a national scale, that is definitely happening. We need to do more of it on the local and the state level.
Now, how do you hope to do that, Maurice, when Charleston County is trending blue as we speak?
Yeah, it is trending blue. And it's not going to be easy, but I think a lot of it has to do with how we package ourselves, how we message what we stand for and who we are. Whether or not the things that we focus our energy and time on are of interest to people and citizens. Sometimes you have to break away from party talking points and focus on local issues that really matters to citizens. So in that regard, I think we're going to be okay.
Now, what exactly is the clear message from the Charleston County Republican Party to voters?
Well, look, first of all, it comes down to what we stand for. Obviously, we're against abortion. We are all about protection of the unborn. We are against over regulations of business. We are for stimulus that allow monies and to flow into our economy. We're for economic growth, smart growth. We're for economic development, for job opportunities, for for citizens of our region, of our country. We're for law and order, while at the same time, we're for strong police, community policing, where police officers once again reconnect with local citizens at the very local level. We're for fairness, we're for equity, we're for inclusion, and we're for access to capital, to start businesses, to purchase homes, purchase automobiles. So those banking relationships are important, and we work hard every day to create the right environment whereas everyone can prosper.
Where's the access for African Americans in Charleston County?
Access from to the party, or to capital, or to
Capital, I should say. Capital and bond.
Yeah, good point. Look, there's never been a Republican-controlled city council in Charleston. I'm going to say in Charleston or North Charleston. I think things would be different if they were, or if we had a greater say in budget matters, how we set up minority participation programs within government, how we would use a position of authority as a bully pulpit to bring the banking opportunities to distress neighborhoods and communities. Our engagement in education, understanding the importance of education in terms of quality of life for all. So we have a lot of work to do in this region. We tend to focus on racism and things of that nature, rather than focusing on real access to opportunities and capital for business and equity and education and things of that nature. So these are the things that we have been discussing as a party, and that we're putting more elevated focus on. And I think as a result of that, we're going to make an impact.
Now, how elevated are you guys with this focus? How close are you to that?
But look, this focus is real. Look, and I think President Trump is setting the tone. I really do. If you look at the lowest level ever of African American unemployment, highest income level ever under a presidency, reestablishing access to federal dollars to HBCUs across the country, including private HBCUs, prison reforms, opportunity zones. Just recently with Ice Cube came up with a concept that will engage the Trump administration with real opportunities for Black businesses and Black communities. They extended the invitation to both the Biden camp and the Trump camp. The Biden camp said, look, we'll see you after the election, or talk with us after the election. The Trump administration said, okay, when can you come to the White House to see when we can put this thing on paper, expand it, broaden it in some way, and let's go ahead and implement this. Let's get this thing rolling. So as a result of that, Lil Wayne said, okay, I like that response. I want to be a part of this, along with Ice Cube and Kanye and other people, and Robert Johnson, folks who understand that economic growth, economic development, stimulus, taxes, and managing regulations are key to business success. Well, that's what the Trump administration is leading the way. And some of us are following that lead at the state and the local level, because obviously it has proven to be a success formula in the making.
And how will that formula look 2 years from now if President Trump is reelected?
Well, Look, I think we're going to have to move through COVID, but you notice that 33% job growth and positive impact economy and the economy just recently, maybe a day or two ago. That's a strong. If the president hadn't put in place a strong economic foundation before this pandemic hit, we would be in a recession today. But the economy was so robust, so strong, because he started putting the trade deals that favored America, businesses first, America first. The foundation was so strong, was able to absorb a shutdown as a result of a pandemic, springboard out of it, and the economy is already beginning to roar back. 2 years from now, under the Trump administration, I think we're going to have darn near a full recovery, and things will go right back to pre-COVID-19 conditions. Low unemployment among African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian, white Americans, doesn't matter. We're going to have the stock market, people making money again through the roof. We're going to have an economy that is expanding. We're going to have better and stronger growth on all fronts, and I just can't wait to see November 3rd come and go, and we reconnect with those wonderful, successful policies that the Trump administration has put forward.
Now, I know some people say that President Trump is enjoying a comfortable lead that is in the first congressional district, and Nancy really needs to get to 50%. That like many people are saying. Why isn't President Trump here?
Well, he's not here in person, but he's certainly pushing on the radio for Nancy Mace. But I'm hearing him on radio for Nancy Mace. Look, I think like 3-4 times an hour. Listen, I mean, literally 3 to 4 times an hour, almost every hour.
Okay.
He's pushing her hot and heavy, and I think it's making a difference. Those internal polls are saying something to the Mace campaign, and that's why they're really, really pushing the president's message and endorsement of her hard and the president is still popular in this state, and especially in the first congressional district.
Now, is the president's message in some people's mind hurting Nancy and not allowing her to get to 50%?
That's a possibility. Not everyone agreed with the president, but not everyone 100% agree with no politician or elected official. But he has more supporters than not in that first congressional district, and folks who still believe in him. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be a boom for Nancy Mace. And I think it's going to be a boom for all of our downline candidates or down ballot candidates with a footprint in the first congressional district.
Now, let me get back to what obviously Colleen Condon said about Sheriff Cannon. And she told me this recently in an interview yesterday. She says this quote, Sheriff Cannon charges Charleston County taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars for his choice to participate in the 287 program. And for background, the 287G program is named for the section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, and became law as part of the Legal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. How much money is the sheriff allegedly charging taxpayers for this program?
I've heard that argument charged against the sheriff from Democrats and his opponent. I'm not sure the accuracy of that number, but what I do know is Al Cannon believed that the safety of residents in Charleston County is first and foremost. He doesn't seek a dime above what is required to ensure that Our citizens in Charleston County are the most protected people in South Carolina and America. He's been a good steward over the years of the taxpayers' dollars, and you have never heard Al Cannon associated with a scandal in that regard. So I think the sheriff is solid, I'm confident he's going to be reelected, primarily because there are more people who believe, black and white, that he has done a great job than those who believe that he is not.
And she also said this too, a quote, Sheriff Cannon, not surprisingly, that is, refuses to audit to see implicit bias in the department. Is that true?
I don't know that to be true at all. Politics being what it is, the race card or some hint of racism always seems to pop up, and the charge always seems to be against Republicans. I don't think that actually bring people together. I think it further divide us. I hope we would someday get to the point where government try to get out of the business of governing people's behavior and just allow people, provide the right environment for people to come together and work out whatever racial differences among us that exists.
What type of audit does the voters want from this particular sheriff's office?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any polls taken to assess the position of voters along the lines of racial bias. Now, there are some groups, very good groups, who have lobbied local government and law enforcement departments to conduct these racial bias audits. I've never heard Al Cannon speak against such audits. I'm sure if directly challenged on that, and there's real value and genuineness to it, I'm sure he would be more than happy to accommodate that. But I don't, I just think Al Cannon is a people's sheriff, and he spends just as much time in our community, the Black community, as he does in the majority community. And if the idea here is to label him as being racist or a supporter of biasness towards people of color or community of color, I think that's a big time stretch or allegation or charge against him.
And quickly, the headline for Wednesday, what are your 3 words?
Republicans win. I'm going to say 2. Republican wins.
Maurice Washington, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
And it is award-winning. Thank you, Quintin. Listen, let's do this again soon.
Thank you. We certainly will.